also just our soybean board team that's helped organize this. I have to give a shout out to them before we wrap up, because they really, I was on the sidelines of a soccer field calling Mike Herker one night to say, Senator Stabenow wants to have her hearing, and it makes no sense to not go forward with the USB event in conjunction with that, because we know dollars are precious for you company reps to come to Washington. But thank you all, and thanks to Gail Johnson and Josh Zahn and Jenna Higgins-Rose and Melissa Aarons, and of course Sue Ann Fifferling and Mike Herker for helping all row in the same direction, or we would have never gotten this pulled off. And Jeff Goodman and Ron and the whole USDA team have rallied with us, and we really, really appreciate that. But this is the grand finale panel, and we planned that intentionally because we wanted to have something that gave you great content at the end of the day. And so as we introduce each of our folks, I will not spend a lot of time. Their bios are all on the website, soy-biobased.org, which we hope you will go to anyway. And if you're a manufacturer, tell us some more case studies that we need to be sharing about your bio-based product successes, like Richard and Todd, I know, have had some recent success with their product. So in my introduction, starting to my left, is Jim Evanoff. And if Jim were an app on my phone, the icon for Jim would be Lewis and Clark. Because not only is Jim from Montana, but Jim is a trailblazer. And in bio-based procurement, he was asked to be on this panel because he is an expert in the right people chemistry to get the buyers and the sellers connected. And Jim didn't care that no one else had ever used National Park Service. And can you hear me? Did I lose you? Better now? Okay. So Jim has pioneered the use of bio-based products and carbon leading to the collection and cleaning supplies. I have to give a shout out to Don Eby because I use your cleaning supplies because Jim Evanoff got them used at Yellowstone National Park. So we thought that his experience today would be very relevant to all of you because he figured out how to do it without, no offense, but whether or not it was GSA schedule, Jim could do this, and we think that kind of pioneer experience will be helpful today. Now, Jessica McDonough is our millennial on the panel. You heard earlier about how important they are, and we really appreciate Jessica flying up. She's an employee of the USDA Agricultural Research Service. Is this better? And Jessica has been doing contracting work, including with bio-based products, for 7 years. And so we think hearing your voice today is really important because your generation are increasingly going to be the workforce of the federal government. And so we look forward to that. Now moving on to our next panelist, Lorena Nelson is with Indiana Dunes National Park, and she is like finding a new star. You know how you hear in the newspapers, the news reports, that there's this star that we didn't know was out there, and that's Lorena. And we really appreciate you coming all the way from Indiana to be with us, because once I started Googling her, I found out she'd been doing these great presentations for the Department of the Interior and the Park Service on procurement, and we want to hear your voice today about how you do all that and pull it together as a custodial supervisor who's really in the field. And then last but in no way least is Linda Maceras, and she's bracing herself for what I'm going to say next. But Linda is the Google Maps of bio-based procurement. Because if you need a map to help guide you to where the pathways go and where the dead ends are, Linda is your go-to place. So again, thank you all for joining us, and in each of their own self-introductions, please tell us the most exciting thing that you're doing with bio-based right now. Linda, you want to start?
Okay. Jeff Goodman and Ron Wackold given me the opportunity to help them develop various memos and emails. The Secretary of Agriculture in February sent out an email to the entire acquisition community at the Forest Service, Agricultural Research Service and every other sub-agency of agriculture, mandating that all janitorial, repair, and maintenance contracts would have clauses and requirements, and that starting very immediately, construction, food services, cafeterias, and vehicle maintenance would. Then in March, Chief Acquisition Officer Parham of Agriculture further sent out an email message to all the acquisition community, including the contracting officer representatives, technical people, stating that what the requirements should be, that bio-based should be a source selection evaluation factor. You know, the old days, price and past performance. Now, a USDA contract with bio-based is a source selection evaluation factor. And then lastly, Lisa Willis, who we met this morning, the Senior Procurement Executive, she sent out an email message to all the acquisition community in May, stating that you will have mandatory training on bio-based purchasing, and that bio-based purchasing will be a performance standard in your appraisal. And as far as I know, and I humbly could be wrong, but I think it's the first time a department of the federal government has ever made a sustainable acquisition or green purchasing program a standard in contracting officers. So that's what I'm proud of right now.
Well, I don't know what I'm really proud of because we really don't have a whole lot of bio-based products in our park yet. And so what I'm excited about is trying to get all of you to contact me and tell me about your products. I spend a lot of time, a lot of hours looking and searching for products and researching them. There's not a whole lot of information, and I've looked and tried to find the information online or through the other parks and just talking to people. And there isn't a whole lot of buy-in yet on bio-preferred products. I started with just regular green products and switching them over. And so I'm really excited to learn more about the bio products and bring more in and trying to figure out how I can find them and buy them on the small scale that I use in my park. We are one of the few parks that don't have a janitorial contract. We actually do the work in-house. So I'm not a big buyer, but I am a buyer.
Hi. I started in procurement in 2002, so I don't know a world without bio-based products. I specialize in construction and design of the facilities for ARS, so again, once this thou shalt include bio-based products in construction came down, I was surprised because we've always been doing it. I think as far as ARS is concerned, we have an energy manager, Sandy Morgan, who he puts together case studies of different products that have been used and are working well, and publishes them everywhere. I think he's got them in his briefcase and gives them out as much as he possibly can. So I think that's a really, really good thing that we're doing. Go Sandy, go.
As the only male up here. So 32 years with the National Park Service, 5 national parks I worked in, 24 of those in Yellowstone. Yellowstone is the mother of them all. The world's first national park, 3.5 million visitors, tremendous opportunity to do outreach and education. So one of the cornerstones of bio-based successes in Yellowstone started in the 90s with introducing a line of bio-based products from Don Eby and the Clean Environment Company. He was the only company at the time that met the strict criteria that we established, which was modeled after the city of Santa Monica, California, of all places. And so Don was able to meet our criteria. This was an extremely difficult task. For those of you that don't know, the janitorial and custodial staff is a very, very proud group. Is very proud of the work they do, and they're very, very resistant to change. And so, if you have been to Yellowstone, you understand the concentrations of people. We've got janitorial staff that do nothing but clean the same restroom all day long. I mean, it's just phenomenal. and they want to do a good job. And so it's very difficult to make that behavioral change. Working with the Clean Environment Company and other folks, Karen and Mike Erger, even Ron a little bit, we were able to make the switch virtually overnight. And I can tell you for a fact that it was very difficult. The janitorial staff, which there's hundreds of in the middle of summer, didn't want to listen to a manager tell them how to do their job. And so finally they said, we'll slowly switch, leave us our old products, we'll slowly try the bio-based, and we knew that would never happen. So virtually overnight, we took trucks around the park, cleaned out all the closets, all the utility rooms, much to the chagrin of the janitorial staff, and placed these new products in. Yellowstone was using 139 different products, all containing some level of toxicity, either to the employee and or the environment. And if you know Yellowstone, very, very sensitive environment with over 10,000 geothermal features, on and on and on. So we switched, and it worked really well, but again, very resistant on the part of the janitorial staff. We virtually had to take crowbars to get the 409 out of their hands. For folks like you and I that use Windex or 409 once a week or once every 2 weeks, it's probably all right for your health. But these folks, from starting Monday morning until Friday afternoon, are breathing and being exposed to these chemicals, and their threshold of tolerance has been exceeded by Friday. And we could see it with watery eyes and headaches. We knew there was a problem. We were the first park to take on something like this, and now just in Don's company alone, there's over 50 national parks that are using his product, and now there's many more out there, and Don's got to get a lot more competitive. But he's been a great partner, and as well as Karen and Mike and the USB group. So, sorry for being so long.
That's great. So let's dig into the question that I think our panel and our conversations last week said it kind of comes down to: how do we overcome the challenges in connecting the buyers and sellers? How do we find the right people in the government? If you're a government employee, how do you find the right company? And if you're a manufacturer, how do you find the right person in the government? Because we know that there have been bio-based manufacturers who have literally driven from military base to military base trying to find the right person. And that seems like such an inefficient way. So Linda, you want to tackle that one first? How do we find the right people? How do we connect them?
Okay, I'm gonna address the contracting area. So the other areas will be addressed by our other three panelists. The government has done this for you in the area of contracting. Last year, the federal government spent $460 billion on products and services. 10 years ago, we bought products in various ways. Now, we buy most of them through contracts. Most of that $460 billion, contracts, service contracts, construction contracts. There is a website called fed.opps.gov. The government will provide you opportunities. If you go to that website, put your name in, tell them what you'd like to sell, they'll send you an email free every day, Monday through Friday, on every solicitation sent from any agency in the country. If you're interested in janitorial, you sell bio-based janitorial products, then if you put in janitorial, they will send you a website telling you every janitorial contract that's been awarded, that has not been awarded, and you can decide to bid on it or not. That's if you want to be upfront. If you want a subcontract, and I bet a lot of people in this room want a subcontract, then you look at the awarded contracts. In the old days, maybe 3 or 4 or 2 years ago, they'd say, no, I'm not going to tell the company who won this contract in New Hampshire. That's procurement sensitive information. And and we're not going to tell you the price. Well, now, FedBizOps.gov tells you who won the contract and how much the dollar value was. If you sell bio-based janitorial products or bio-based maintenance products, you can call that company. So I just thought I'd look at agriculture. Remember what I just got through saying about all the things that agriculture is supposed to do. On May 16th, there was a contract awarded in maintenance and repair by the Forest Service. And Richard May Construction won it. So if you have maintenance and repair products that are bio-based, I call up Richard May Construction and say, I am here to help you solve your problems. If I was a janitorial person, so bio-based janitorial, well, hey, I'd go call Full Circle Property Management because they were awarded a $47,000 janitorial contract in May 13th. Call Full Circle Property Management. They're out of Oregon. You can provide them bio-based products. This is just agriculture. I also looked at the Army, Air Force, Navy, and Interior. They also give you the awarded, the contractors who won their awards. So you're sitting there, the government is giving you free a website. All you have to do is look at the solicitations. Do you want to go after it? Or you can look at the awarded contracts and say, I'm a sub, and gee whiz, there's this $13,000 contract that the Forest Service has in New Hampshire. And I'm going to call Happy Jenny Systems, and I'm going to say, I'm here to solve your problems. I have bio-based janitorial products. So that is how we, the government, and the companies can matchmake in the area of contracts, which is the leading dollar value of $460 billion.
Can I add to that? Because as the pre-solicitation notice, solicitation notice pre-award,
Yeah, please tell them.
there's also usually a site visit that's held at the location where there's construction and most services. The site visit, the contract officer will be there, also other prospective general contractors will be there, in addition to other subcontractors who you can network with. I've always found it an excellent opportunity for all the companies to talk to each other and discuss other opportunities. From the contracting officer's perspective, that's where I would be if I was you guys.
Okay, I'm a little bit harder to find. I don't deal with the contracts. I am a small buyer, so it's a lot harder to find me, but it's also just as hard for me to find your products. I use GSA Advantage, usually first and foremost, and I do a lot of work with my local vendors, and do a lot of product sampling and stuff too, so then I try and get the word out from there. And that can be a lot of problems. A lot of legwork. Takes me hours and hours and hours to try and find a product. And the best thing I can say to people that when they put their stuff on GSA is really describe it. One of my biggest complaints I have with trying to find products is when you go and you look at it, you get a picture and you get a price. And they get a list of names of places I can buy it. Doesn't really give you a whole lot of information, and I don't like to waste the taxpayers' money. So it's a lot of trial and error, and I've bought products and I've tried to return them. I've found that if I work with local vendors, if you do find me, come talk to me and we'll work out something. I do a lot of testing of products. Can't wait to get a hold of Mr. Donnerby there and try out some of his stuff. And I'll provide you your feedback. And I also listed on our SharePoint site for the Midwest region. And I'll talk it up to anybody that'll listen to me. Not a problem.
What's the SharePoint site? Tell us more.
The Midwest region has a SharePoint site, and it's been kind of at a halt for a little while. There's been a lot of changes in the Midwest regional office. But what we've done is we've gotten together a bunch of different green and bio-preferred products, things that we have tried, and given our feedback on it. There's a newsletter that I did for the sustainability office, where I just rated a couple of new products, and they actually happen to be the soy-based products. And I named what the product is, where I found it, why I like it, and I also done some homework what didn't I like about it. And for the products that are concentrated, you have to take into consideration that not everybody has the same water quality where they're using them. In our parks, for example, we have hard water, soft water, and city water. So I try and find a product that will work with all three different types of water when I go to, because they're all dilute, concentrated. So when I go to dilute them and make them ready to use for my staff, you have to really watch, because what would work in one area is not going to work as well in the next area. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're doing your labeling and promoting the product and marketing it. Give us a little bit more information or offer us a way to feedback for you.
And there's another avenue that we use for a lot of the sustainability initiatives in the park, and that is Yellowstone has the huge advantage of having major concessionaires in the park. They hire over almost 5,000 employees just for the summer. There's 2,000 hotel rooms, multiple restaurants and dining rooms and general stores, and a lot of times those folks can be the test bed for new products because they don't have the procurement regulations that the feds do. So I know that's a distance, you don't have that opportunity, but a lot of national parks and even national forests that have farmed out some of this janitorial work, that's a good avenue, and then it's easier for the government to get involved. Now, what we did way back when with the Clean Environment Company was we actually went sole source at the time. We were able to prove with a matrix, instead of these 139 products, this quantity, this cost, with the bottom line per year versus less than 10 products, buying in bulk, buying in concentrate, and the health benefits, the morale, increases in morale with the staff, and you factor all that in, and we had a great procurement officer at the time that really stuck it out and said, we're going to do this because it's right. Now, how legal it was at the time, I don't know.
I told you he was Lewis and Clark. All right. Any other key points from our panel and comments on what one another said?
I guess I could add from an ARS perspective to find people that are locally buying on our website, ars.usda.gov. You can find what we call administrative officers for each of the areas across the country, and that's the person that you want to call. You want to ask them who's doing the buying. They'll be able to get you in touch with these people.
Well, Jessica and Lorena, because you both commented that, do people in your jobs congregate anywhere where our manufacturers could come connect with you? Where can they meet you face to face?
If you want to meet me face to face, you're going to have to come to the park and help me down. Yeah, as anybody that knows to try to get a hold of me, leave me a voice message. I will get back to you because I'm not in my office very often. So yeah, because I am a field person. I have a very small staff. For 4 months of the year, I actually have seasonal employees. The other 8 months of the year, I'm out there doing the groundwork right alongside my 2 permanent employees. So yeah, there isn't really a place where we go and hang out and talk about this kind of stuff. So I'm a little harder to find, like I said.
I know that the USDA does vendor outreach events downtown DC most of the time. I don't really have a lot of information on it. I'm sure if you Google USDA vendor outreach, you will be able to find more information on it. They send people from my office all the time. We will spend the whole day down there waiting to talk to you about your products and about your opportunities. Otherwise, I just get emails and phone calls every single day. I mean, if you use Fed as Office of Resource and you want to contact anybody, I would start with the contracting officer. Fortunately, not everybody is as helpful as we would like, but if you contact somebody, I get phone calls all the time. This is my name, this is my company, here's my capability statement. I forward it to everybody that I know.
And also, again, besides the concessioners, and this is one of the criteria that Yellowstone was obligated or determined to do, and that is to see the ripple effect of what we do in the park migrate outside the park into the local gateway communities, into the region at large, and then all of a sudden, you've got the hospitality industry, you've got private citizens that want to know more about it, and they have that freedom to make phone calls if they had a list, which I give them, to expand this whole thing and not keep it just within park boundaries and operate in this silo. So that's another avenue for the businesses to get engaged is, at least the national parks. And quite honestly, the way a lot of this worked is, the manufacturer or the salesman, whoever, making a site visit to the park. I mean, really, that's the way that's how it happens the quickest. And I'd like to present that. So a great example, and now we're talking about public-private partnerships to make things happen. Yellowstone collects 45 tons of plastics every year, and it's mostly all plastic water bottles. Huge, huge issue. We thought we were doing the best job we could because we wanted to see that total increase every year, which means we were collecting more, we were doing a better job until we followed the trail of the plastics, and they were sold to a broker in Seattle and then sold to overseas, to China and Asia.